There are some places you think you have all figured out. You see them as maybe old market towns or industrial hubs, but every now and then, the most unassuming cities hide the most incredible stories, right in plain sight. Today, we're digging into one of England's best-kept secrets. So let's kick things off with a question that sounds, well, kind of crazy. Is the city of Doncaster, deep in the heart of Yorkshire, England, actually legally part of Scotland? The answer is, well, it's complicated, and it's the start of a story you just won't believe.
To get it, we have to go all the way back to 1136. England's in the middle of a messy civil war, and the English king Stephen is desperate to keep the Scottish from invading. So he signs this thing, the Treaty of Durham. It's basically a peace deal where he hands over control of Doncaster to the Scottish king, David I.
And here is the absolute kicker. Yeah, England eventually took the area back by force, but nobody, and I mean nobody, ever got around to updating the paperwork. No treaty ever officially gave Doncaster back to England, so technically, because of a legal loophole that's almost 900 years old, this very English city is kind of a Scottish enclave. But that's just our first secret.
But that legal quirk? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Turns out, this city was also a powerhouse, forging the very blueprints for our modern world, both on the road and on the rails. In the early 20th century, two absolute titans of engineering learned their craft in Doncaster's legendary locomotive works, a place they called the Plant. On one side, you've got Sir Nigel Gresley, an absolute genius with steam trains, and on the other, W.O. Bentley, the guy who would go on to found Bentley Motors. See, the Plant was like a magnet for brilliant minds. It's where Gresley designed two of the most famous trains in history, the Flying Scotsman, the very first to officially break 100 miles per hour, and its even faster successor. And right alongside all this, a young W.O. Bentley was doing his apprenticeship, learning all about heavy engineering, the exact skills he later used to build those incredible engines that completely dominated the Le Mans racetrack.
And this is the result of all that genius. 126 miles per hour. That is the world speed record for a steam locomotive. It was set by the Mallard, built right there in Doncaster in 1938. And get this, it's a record that has never, ever been broken.
Okay, so the city built fast machines, but it also built incredible minds. Doncaster's influence wasn't just mechanical, it was deeply intellectual. It helped shape two men who would completely change how we see the world. George Porter, a Nobel Prize winner who figured out how to photograph chemical reactions, and George Boole, the man who basically designed the digital age.
Just let that sink in for a second. Back in the 1830s, while he was just a school teacher in Doncaster, George Boole came up with a system of logic, using things like and, or, and not. We now call it Boolean logic, and it is the fundamental language of every single computer. The phone, the laptop, the tablet you are using to watch this right now is thinking in a language invented in a Doncaster classroom almost 2 centuries ago.
All right, so we've got Scottish treaties, we've got computer logic. What's next? Let's talk culture, because the city's quiet impact on the world stage is just as amazing and maybe even more surprising.
And believe me, that is not an overstatement. This story starts in a tiny village just outside Doncaster, and it ends with the foundation of one of the biggest superpowers in the world. It all starts with a guy named William Bradford. He was one of the main leaders of the Pilgrim Fathers, and he was born and raised right there in a village called Austerfield. He and his group, the Separatists, who had broken away from the Church of England, actually planned their escape from England from this very area. Their journey on the Mayflower, as you know, became a cornerstone event in the founding of the United States. Okay, from founding a nation to creating one of the most beloved characters in all of children's literature, this next one is it's just delightful. So get this, the iconic Paddington Bear stuffed toy, with the blue duffel coat and the little Wellington boots, he's from Doncaster. The very first prototype was handmade by a woman named Shirley Clarkson as a Christmas gift for her kids. And one of those kids was a young Jeremy Clarkson. No joke. His parents loved the bears so much, they started a company and began making them in a local factory. And the rest is history. And the city's star power doesn't stop with stuffed bears. Nope. It's also played a pretty significant role, sometimes in secret, on both the big and small screens. Think about the Oscar-winning movie Darkest Hour. When the filmmakers needed a convincing stand-in for places like Downing Street and Buckingham Palace, they didn't go to London. They came to Broadsworth Hall, this amazing Victorian country house just outside Doncaster.
And from the city itself, you got global icons like Dame Diana Rigg, unforgettable as Emma Peel in The Avengers, and of course, as Olenna Tyrell in Game of Thrones. Now, with this much history, you just know there are going to be some strange stories, right? Some shadows. Well, Doncaster does not disappoint. Let's dive into the weirder side of the city's story, a world of urban legends, phantoms, and really old hauntings. The local folklore is just fantastic. You have tales of the Faceless Fiend, this creepy figure with a totally smooth face, first spotted in the 1920s and then seen again in the exact same way in the 1990s. There's a phantom phone at the Air Museum that apparently rings even though it's been disconnected for years. And then there's the true story of the Witch of Rossington. And this last story is just remarkable. It's 1605, the height of the witch hunt craze in Europe. A local woman, Joan Jurdy, is accused of witchcraft. But in this incredible act of reason and bravery for the time, the mayor of Doncaster, a man named Hugh Childers, stepped in himself. He looked at the evidence, dismissed the ridiculous claims, and declared her innocent. Just a stunning moment of justice in an age of pure paranoia. So what happens when you put all this together? Scottish treaties, steam engines, computer code, pilgrims, Paddington Bear, and phantoms. What does it all really tell us? It shows us that some places are like these quiet engines, driving history forward in ways we almost never see. And it really comes down to this idea. A city's true importance isn't always in its skyline, but in its hidden stories. That's so true, isn't it? We judge places by what we see on the surface, but the real weight, the real significance, is so often buried in these amazing hidden tales. I mean, when you step back and look at it, the sheer range of Doncaster's story is staggering. A legal quirk that makes it Scottish, the logic that powers your phone, the steam train that still holds a world record, the people who helped found America, the toy bear loved by millions all over the world. It is such a powerful reminder that history is made everywhere, not just in the big capital cities. And really, that leaves us with one last thought. Doncaster's story proves that every town, every city has these hidden layers just waiting to be explored. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What incredible, world-changing secrets are waiting to be discovered right outside your own front door?